Noname Sundial album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Noname. She is a singer, songwriter, hip-hop artist out of Chicago. She's been at it for a few years now. She started turning some heads years ago, seemingly with some very, notable features. I mean, I've been very vocal of my middle-of-the-road feelings towards Chance the Rapper's acid rap, but Noname's feature on that album was by far one of the best things about it. Now, if you know anything about me and you know how I originally got into rap and hip-hop, it was mostly very heady, jazzy, very wordy hip-hop of the early 2000s. I feasted on that growing up, and hearing Noname's debut, Telephone, I fell in love instantly. I just thought this was a really fresh, really creative album. I thought her performances were really concise. It was short, it was sweet, it made me feel good, and I really had little to no complaints about it. I was an overnight fan. And a few years later, she followed that up with Room 25, and if anything, I thought that she had only gotten better. Her bars were more concise, her thoughts were coming off more clearly, and the beats and the vibes were still a-okay. Now, this album has been teased for quite some time. It was supposed to come out a while back. It didn't. It looked like Noname was going to quit music, but then she didn't. She did some festival performances, and here we are with her new album Sundial, and I mean, personally, I expected a little bit more. And that's not to take away from the good on this album, because there's a lot of great material on here. Like, for example, this album's intro, Black Mirror. This is nothing short of an awesome, stellar intro. I love the cosmic, very smooth stylings of this track, and just how otherworldly this comes off. And that's all before Noname's presence is even felt. And like I said, this is a very cosmic sounding track, but when you look into the little details, this is the same Noname that we've been dealing with for years, and for the moment, that's just fine. It's a very breezy atmosphere. We get a very jazzy instrumental, and performance-wise, we're getting a lot of very concise, introspective bars. I mean, you could argue that these are some of the most self-reflective and introspective bars that Noname's ever put out. I also really love Hold Me Down featuring Jamette Rose and the Voices of Creation. This track is awesome. As far as a complete thought goes, I think this is one of the best tracks on the album. I mean, the gospel choir behind Noname's very quaint performance on this track is otherworldly. I mean, I'm a little shocked at times by just how out there and just abstract some of these lyrics are getting as the moments pass, but for the moment, I'm all fine with it. This track is just great. Potentially the interlude, potentially this is the best track on the entire record. This is one of the most direct and intense tracks here. I love the very mysterious and, once again, sort of cosmic beat that we get here, and just how confident and direct Noname comes off in her performance. It's barely 2 minutes long, but her intensity and her complete thoughts make it all gravy. Namesake is also spectacular. This is one of the most upbeat and groovy tracks that you're going to find here. It's very funky and intense, and once again, we're dealt with this very spacey, very cosmic production, which I'm all for. I mean, you can argue that this doesn't have the very summery, very blissful sounds of her first two records. You would not be wrong in saying that. But for the first time, I'm finding also a lot of gaps on this album. Shockingly so. Like Boom Boom featuring a Yoni. Wow, where did this track come from? This is a sharp decrease for the album. I don't know who okayed this track. The beat, for one, is so not interesting. And Ioni's feature is easily the least impressive on this entire album, and because of that, Noname's thoughts just sound scattered and just really ruffled. It's really more annoying than anything. Beauty Supply, this track initially I really liked, but it's lessened on me quite a bit with multiple listens. And you know what? Ironically, it's probably the most classic throwback Noname sounding track here, with the very breezy atmosphere and the very jazzy instrumental. There's some soulful licks and some funky production, but something about this track is just really shallow. I don't know, man. This track to me just doesn't come off the same way. I'm not getting that same complete feeling. I have a lot of the same feelings on Toxic too, sadly. I mean, if you really dissect this track, all the usual elements are on display here. There's nothing missing, but for some reason, I'm not getting that just complete thought feeling from Noname. Lyrically, there are so many more compelling performances in her catalog. Hell, there's more introspective and interesting lines on this album. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with the sentiment behind this track. It's a very emotional and deep and very cutting track about being the side chick, as well as Noname's personal experiences. That's just fine. I just think that there was a better way to go about airing them. Like, this track could have been just so much more impactful with a few slight tweaks. This album, you know, while I was initially very excited for it, it's kind of a mixed bag. And because of that, you know, this very short album comes off a lot more lopsided than it should. I mean, Balloons featuring Aaron Allen Kane and Jay Electronica, this track is so middle of the road. I mean, let's look at the positives, because there are positives. For one, I love the instrumental and the production here, and Aaron Allen Kane's very whispery performance on this track is awesome. She showed up a lot of times this year on this channel throughout reviews in different feature roles, and she's always impressed me. But as far as Noname's performance goes, I'm just not feeling this. And Jay Electronica, say what you want about him, I've never been that into him. He really whiffs his feature here too. It's very underwhelming. Afro Futurism, though, is really cool. This right here is unbelievably fresh sounding between the beat and the production. This is the ticket. It's warped, it's weird, but it's also really classy. And on top of that, I'd argue that Noname sounds at her most confident here. We also have gospel featuring Silk Money, Billy Woods, and Stout. Like, I hear this and I'm shocked by just how genuinely great and seriously classic this comes off. Like, so much of Noname's best stuff, when she focuses, she has so many things to say and just really puts them forward in an interesting vibe. And all around, the features are very, very solid. Nothing, really stands out, but all three of these people, especially my man Billy Woods, really, really do just sound at home here. Also, the jazzy beat and the gospel influences are fantastic. But then we get Oblivion featuring Anoye once again and Common, and I got really excited for this track because this is a glistening, funky, fresh sounding track from a distance. This beat is awesome. But for me, Noname just really does not feel like she's having a good time on this track anymore. This sounds really forced. I mean, Common sounds more confident on this track. And some of these one-liners are easily some of the cheesiest on the entire album. What happened here? This album has so much potential to it, and there's a lot of great material, but on such a short sample size after all this time, and the mixed bag that it is, this album's really lopsided. Yeah, there's some very fresh, very introspective lines. The beats are sort of cosmic and jazzy, and really fresh and classy, and very interesting. But for me, I don't know if it's just me, but Noname doesn't sound as confident as usual. I'm not getting the same vibes. This doesn't feel like a complete album to me. It's a weird one. I mean, there's certainly a lot of great material here, but there's some snoozers as well. I'm feeling a very strong 6 for now, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.